Hey there, it's Kimberly here with Knit for Brains. And my friends here over at Caydo sent me this Icord electric knitting machine to check out. So let's do it. Let's see if this thing actually works. Stay tuned. All right, so our friends over at Caydo sent me this Icord knitting machine, electric knitting machine, and said, take a look and see what you think. So we're gonna open up the box, see what's inside, and see how this works. All right, so the Icord knitting machine comes with a USB cable, so you're going to have to be able to plug it into like a USB port, or you can get a plug extension that'll plug into the back of this. It comes with an instruction booklet that has pictures in it, but there's also a QR code that you could scan to watch some YouTube videos. All right, so here's the machine. Here's our weights for the yarn. Sends some yarn and a crochet hook with a needle. And the bracket for the bottom. So this just screws into the bottom of the machine right here. There's a little threaded part here, and you just screw this together. There you go. All right. So this is going to sit on a bracket. Now you have to make sure that the dial that turns the yarn and the needles is on the inside. So I'm placing it right about here. And let's just go ahead and cinch this baby down. Okay, so that's good. Now you want to make sure that your yarn is really loose, that there's not too much tension, because the tension will cause the needles to not pick up the yarn. And you want to make sure that all of the needles are open. So if the little hook is up and closing off the opening of the hook, that's closed. So you want to use your hook or your finger and just make sure that they're all open. All right. I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to thread it through, and there's a hole that goes all the way through. So I'm going to reach up from inside, grab a hold of my yarn as it threads through right there, and then just pull it on down through the hole. And you want to have about 6 to 8 inches hanging through the machine to the other end. Oops. You have to thread it through this hole first. Then it goes. This is going to be your tension hole. And you reach up and through, grabbing a hold and pulling it through. Now we're set to go. So what you have to do, and I read through the instructions. So now it's installed, and there's all the instructions right here in the top of the machine. It also tells you what kind of yarn to use. You don't want to use anything that's too bulky, so anything from a weight of a 2 all the way down to a 4 should work really well. You don't want anything that's too bulky, too fuzzy, or anything that might split and get stuck in the machine. So we threaded the yarn through the hole, and we've got about 6 to 8 inches hanging down through the bottom. Now to thread the machine, what we're going to do, I'm going to use my crochet hook. It's going to go into the first hook, it's going to skip the second hook, into the third hook, and skip the fourth. There's a little dial over here on the front, and there's an arrow that points in both directions. You want to go to the arrow that's going to be pointing towards you, or the arrow that's colored in. So the first hook, I'm going to grab the yarn. Okay, and then the second hook, I'm going to go around the back of the hook. So we're going to alternate. We're going to keep going. Going to grab that second, and you just turn. I'm just turning that dial, and then I'm going to skip the fourth hook and just move it off to the back with my crochet hook. Now we're going to keep on going. I want to give it a little bit of tension. Now you can let all the hooks grab a hold of that yarn, and you're giving tension, which is bringing those knitted stitches down through the center of the hole And you just want to make sure you get a good start where everything is grabbing before you start the machine. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now you can attach your weights. I'm just going to pull out some yarn here. To attach your weights, you see it's got a little hole that goes all the way through. You push it, and then it actually goes through the round hole. So that round hole is going to catch the yarn. And what you can do is reach up through with your crochet hook, or there's also a needle, whichever way works for you best. I'm going to go ahead and grab that yarn and pull it through. Oops. So now that yarn is on, and then when you release it, it pinches that yarn in there. So now we're going to hold the yarn in place and plug it in. And then your cording just goes down through the hole. You can see how it's going down through the hole. And my weight is spinning, which is okay. Oh, you want to make sure you give it a little bit of tension. It was too tight there. So I want to loosen up on my tension. I kind of fried it with my tension, so we're going to try to undo it and then redo it here. Actually, what I'm going to do is just cut and then feed this through the machine and start again. All right, so the tension was working until I screwed the tension up. Let's try this again. Get it nice and loose. Make sure all my little needles are open, all my heads are open. Threading through the hole. There's a little notch. You want to drop it down into the notch. I'm going to reach up through the middle of the machine. Grab a hold of the yarn, pull it through. Okay. And then I'm going to wait to get started before I add the weight. So once again, I'm going to try to grab that first hook, making sure that you're turning the dial towards you or towards the filled in arrow. So that first one's going to grab a hold. I'm going to skip the second. Grab a hold with hook number 3, skip number 4, okay. Then you just keep letting it go around, grabbing each yarn as it does, making sure that those hooks are staying open. Okay, now let's go ahead and apply the weight. And we just squeeze it, hold it in place, get our power up and running, and let's give it a try. So the weight is pulling the cording through that hole so that it doesn't get caught on the hooks. Woo-wee! This is awesome. This is awesome. Nope, it's good. What you do is you want to stop it at some point. You want to move the weight up the yarn, and then I'm going to apply another. You want to make sure that there is adequate weight on the yarn so it continues to pull the cord through. So I'm just going to feed this down and through. So I actually have 2 weights. And the instructions showed how you attach the weights. Okay, let's go ahead and hit start again. Keeping my tension nice and loose. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. So you can see how each hook is picking it up, bringing it down. So you want to make sure you have good tension on the bottom part, but you want to make sure the tension is really loose so the yarn that's going into the machine isn't under a lot of tension, but the yarn coming out of the machine is. Let me pause it for a second and show you what we're looking at here. Check that out. That is so cool. All right, let's keep going. I love this. It's beautiful. It's magical. It's magic. I'm just let the yarn run through the machine and then see what happens. And it's done. All right. I'll just tie this little guy off. Not quite sure, but just for the sake of... All right. So look at that. That is a thing of beauty. This is a thing of beauty. Take my little weights off. This took no time at all. And you got this gorgeous, really nice, beautiful, consistent stitches all the way through. Now, I think to get it off in the end, what you could do, what I would use is this guy, and then pull the yarn through each one of these little holes. Let's see if we can do that. Actually, maybe I can do it this way. Go through here, grab a hold of this, go through this hole. And this is how you're just going to bind it off. And you just pull it through each one of the holes. Here's the last one right here. You're going to pull it through, and then you just bind it off like that. And then I'll just tie a little knot on the end just to make sure that it's good and set. Look at that. It's lovely. I love this. Thank you so much, Caydo, for introducing me to this guy. This is the Icord knitting machine, the electric knitting machine by Caydo. Digging this. Look at that. And it was so easy. The learning curve was really small. They gave you, like I said, the QR code takes you to the instruction. There's a bunch of little YouTube videos, what to do, what not to do. But all the instructions in here are really, really simple. The only thing I got caught up on, if you've never used an Icord machine, is alternating the hooks the first time around. And then the machine just does the work itself. I'll include a link below. They're giving me a discount code for you to give this machine a try. Recommend it highly. Thanks so much for watching. This is Kimberly with Knit for Brains. And as always, I'll see you soon.